This is a personal story. If you listened to episode 27 of this show, you heard me talk about my struggle with the idea of God. How, despite wanting the comfort of a higher power, I struggle to deny the logic and empiricism that make belief so difficult. But as I said in closing, I intended to continue that struggle, and indeed I have. I have tried to open myself up to the presence of something greater. Tried not to chalk up every moment of potential cosmic alignment to mere coincidence, but to instead allow myself to consider that perhaps something more may be afoot. Something else you've heard me talk about, if you've been following along, is how I've never celebrated the holiday of Shavuot. In fact, I didn't really know what it was, beyond involving the harvest and dairy delights. My guest Sarah Hurwitz said it was her favorite holiday, and I thought, that's interesting, I should look into that. I delivered a monologue about going full Jew and have been looking for ways to continue that in my own life, like maybe finally learning what Shavuot is all about. I asked Tessa Vexler and Eden Yadigar what their favorite holiday is, and they said Shavuot. I said, that's it, I'm doing it. So when prepping for my episode with Chris Caresnun, I finally did the research and at last came to understand how it's not just an important holiday, but is, in many ways, the important holiday. It's the anniversary of the moment when God made his covenant with the Israelites at Mount Sinai, offering them the laws, stories, and customs that would transform a ragtag group of escaped slaves into a nation. It's the moment when the Jewish people became the Jewish people. How the hell was I sleeping on that? Numerous email newsletters I subscribed to in the past year mentioned Shavuot, including one that quoted the Zohar, the primary Kabbalistic text, saying, "The voice of Hashem continues to resonate from Sinai, reaching each soul according to its capacity." Meaning, each person continues to receive the voice of God in their own way, a personalized, living revelation. I don't know, could be coincidence, but does kind of sound like exactly what I'm looking to hear, right? On Dan Senor's podcast, Rachel Goldberg-Polin waxed philosophic about Shavuot, reminding me that this is when we read the book of Ruth, the story of the first convert, the first Jew by choice, a woman so full of honor and strength, she would go on to become the matriarch of the family that would birth the great King David only 3 generations later. Which of course spoke to me, as my own wife, weekly shout out to Courtney, made the same astonishingly brave choice, for which I am forever grateful. And you should be too, for as I like to say, Courtney's the best thing to happen to the Jewish people since the Ten Commandments. And her regal presence is already bearing fruit for our Jewish community at home, in which she is an admired leader, and in our 3 children, who are each a credit to their amazing mother. 3 children. Still getting used to saying that. Because after months of walking an invisible road that seemed to lay itself out beneath my feet, my youngest daughter, Gianna Leora, was born, just a few days ago, on Shavuot. I didn't get the chance to stay up all night studying Torah because I was busy studying my daughter's face. Which, in a way, is the same thing. A living continuation of that covenant made at Sinai, a promise fulfilled, another star in the brilliant Jewish sky. Ask me what my favorite holiday is now. Then there's Gianna's Hebrew name, which I'd already decided weeks before her birth. Typically, I'd save it as a surprise for her naming ceremony, but Courtney already told everyone on planet Earth her English name months ago, so I figured what the hell. Even before being born on the birthday of the Jewish people, her name was to be Yisraela Chaya. Israel lives. How's that for cosmic alignment? And as I looked at my daughter, processing the deep meaning of her name and her very existence, another thought popped into my head, one I've had over and over again in the months since launching this podcast. I've had the privilege to visit and speak to a dozen Jewish communities across the world this year, and without fail, I have observed that in each and every place, the soul, the engine, the doers and makers and shapers and builders of every one of these communities are Jewish women. The CEOs, the presidents, the rabbis, a lot of these are Jewish men, and they're amazing, and I'm sure there's a whole discussion we can have about that. But the people creating the programming, raising the money, planning the events, writing the curriculums, heading the schools, running the charities, leading the campus groups, teaching our children, charting the course that keeps the Jewish people alive are women. And there's usually one gay Gen Zer doing social media and a millennial doing tech stuff. Shout out to those guys. The Jewish communal world is run by women. I've seen it in LA, in Cleveland, in Toronto, in Atlanta, in New York City. I saw it in Venice, Italy, home of the world's first Jewish ghetto, where today's Venice Chabad and only kosher restaurant exist, both of which are run by the Rebbitzin, who on the strength of her energy and commitment has built a dynamic and radiant community within the very bricks once meant to suppress our luminosity. My own family is overflowing with amazing Jewish women, from my sisters to my aunts to my cousins, educators, lay leaders, board members, temple presidents. And then, of course, there's my mom, who we all know is the GOAT, but we'll get into that more in a couple episodes. Even this podcast. Outside the production company I partner with, every single individual hire on the core team is a Jewish woman. 8 of them, if you include my publicist and fiscal sponsor too. No wonder then that I am in awe of and indebted to Jewish women. Smart, capable professionals who could work in any number of fields, but instead, for whatever reason, have put the rest of us on their backs and devoted themselves to the betterment and continuation of our people, beyond just its religious life, and are keeping the Jewish community alive. So, back to my daughter. In true Talmudic fashion, let's look at her name again. Yisrael Chaya, Israel lives, but female. The lifeblood of the Jewish people is women, and now I'm blessed to be father to 2 of them. And so as I reflect on my own journey to Shavuot, to my own personal living revelation, I wonder if maybe the path I've been led to walk down isn't in fact about me at all. Maybe it's about marrying my Ruth, bringing her kick-ass genes into the bloodline, and raising the Jewish daughters who will bring future glory to our people. Maybe I believe in God, maybe I don't. But I know I believe in Jewish women, and I'll do my very best to raise 2 of them to be the kind of leaders who make our people proud. That is, to hopefully be just like all of you.